Hey guys, it's Demi from Demi's Divine Designs, and today I'm going to be digitizing and embroidering a puff letter hat with a full color logo as well. Before I get into that though, I do want to just do a quick thank you for everyone who's subscribed in the past couple of days. I did not expect that video to blow up the way it did, and it means so much to me that you guys are supporting and subscribing and liking everything, and I love all the comments. I do also sincerely apologize for the last 5 minutes of that video where my audio decided it wanted to blow out your eardrums, so sorry if that happened to anybody. Alright. There's my quick little thank you, and we're going to hop right into getting this started. Once you are all set, you are going to head over to your top corner and open up a new project. Once your new project is open, you're going to head down to the image backdrop tool, and you're going to select the file, logo, image, whatever it is that you need to upload. This imported really big. We do not need it that big. So we have two ways of shrinking this down, either by using the directional tools on the side of the image, or you can come up to this menu over here and type in the size that we need. Since we are going to be doing this on another baseball cap, we're going to switch this down to fit into that hoop size, which for me is 2.25, but no bigger than 5 inches. And for this image, it does look like I shrink it down to 3 inches wide by 2.25 inches tall, making it fit perfectly inside my hoop. And now, since we're using this image as of reference, we're going to lighten the image in the back to make it more opaque, which you could do over here on this slider. You're not really going to see it until I hit apply. So here's what it looks like once that is applied to the image. Now I'm going to put in my hoop, which I already have programmed in the machine. This just helps me with digitizing, keeping everything the correct size. And now that it's loaded up in the hoop, it does look a little too small, so I'm going to go back to play with the size again, and I'm going to increase it to about 4.5 inches wide and see how that looks. That looks pretty good. Now I just got to center it to get it in there. Again, this is just for my digitizing purposes. We can also center it at the end. Yeah, that looks really good. I think the size is correct, so we're just going to keep moving forward with this as well. Now, I like to zoom in pretty close when I'm working from a reference image. Just helps me better keep my lines accurate and keep everything straight. So now that we have this how we want it, it's the size that we're kind of looking for, we're going to start working on the text, which is my favorite part to start on. So you're going to head over to your text tool and you're going to select the text. For me, it did already pop up on the font that I want to be using since this is what my client likes the best. And over in this section, I'm going to type in the word king since that matches the reference image and hit apply. Zoom out, and this is definitely way too big. So be careful. I have a tendency to do this a lot where I think I'm clicking on the right thing to shrink it, and I just end up distorting the image. So you can try to play around and find it. I think I just moved this to the center, and I will adjust the size over here. And I'm going to head over to this menu here, up where it says height in inches, and I'm going to try it, I want to say, at 1 inch, and see how that looks. Okay, that is definitely smaller. We're gonna pretty much at this point just go through and try to get our sizing correctly by centering it over the letters and kind of stretching and messing with the text as a whole to get it where we need to go. This process I'm just pretty much going to be repeating, zooming in, stretching, centering, stretching again if needed, shrinking if needed, but I am actually going to turn on my 3D view, just I like how it looks better. I guess that's a personal preference thing. And I finally found the correct box I need to hit to stretch this out without distorting it. So we're going to do that, slide over, and that is looking pretty good. I don't think we need to do much more to that. I'm just going to play with it a little bit more, stretch, make sure the lines are good, which I think we're all set. It looks like we're going to center this one more time, and we do see that my font is slightly different from the font that is used in the reference image, but that's fine. I don't think it's enough for us to rack our brain and go playing with all the different fonts again. But now, since we're doing this as a hat, we're going to want to stitch from center right. You always want to start from center of hats and working your way out to help keep the fabric from bunching or getting any distortion in your images. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease my density from 40 to 30 for the first one and from 15 to 10 on the second one. For me, I like having it nice and thick, especially when using foam. I have not always been successful with foam, and I learned that the thicker you go with your density, the more your foam is going to see through, so you want to go thinner on that. And I'm also going to increase my value percentage from 120 to 130. I'm not fully aware of what this does, but every time I've done it this way, it works. If anybody knows like the best way to explain that percentage thing, please do so in the comments, because I just rack my brain. And now I'm going through and just checking each of the different sections to see if we are good to go. And at this point, there's not really much that we can do since we still have to add more onto the design. I am going to lock this layer and hide it because now we're going to start working on the crown. When I'm focusing on specific portions of an image, I do like to zoom in really close and put that at the center of my screen, since that is going to be the only thing that I'm focusing on at that time. And with doing an image like this, I think I'm going to digitize it mainly using my complex fill tool. And we're going to start working the same way we work for the letters. We're going to work center out, which for us is going to be that red portion of the crown. So we're going to zoom in nice and tight to that center red portion. And we're just going to start laying our points down like we do normally, having our red color selected. So we're going to start at the top. And when going around curves, we want to make sure that our points follow the curve, which for a Mac, you're going to lay your points down while also holding Command. I'm not sure when it would be on a Windows or a Dell, so Mac, Command. And that is just for going around curves. When you're doing straight lines, you do not want to be holding that Command key because that will cause a curve to your line. And we are at the point of the middle section, and we're just going to follow that up. I hold my space bar in order to have it the hand so I can move the screen without laying a point down. And here is the middle section. That is looking pretty good. We are going to move on and do the other two sections before we do any other editing to the stitch out or the type of stitch. So we're going to start by going to the right hand side of the image, and we're going to stitch this out. We're going to do the same thing as we're going to lay the points, holding down your Command key while going around your curves. I'm also going to show you guys how I do the cutout in the center. Not really the center, it's more like the topish center, so we can have that little like glow in the crown. We are just going to go through and select the points as we did for the center, holding Command, going around the curves, which is going to be cool because we have not only this big round curve, we have those 2.5-ish smaller curves. This design itself just looks so cool. And this is a pretty quick one. So I'm just going through, holding Command around the edges. You can zoom in a little bit more if you want to get really close up on those lines. But at this point, I think we're doing pretty good where I don't need to zoom, which is a shocker for me. We're finishing up around this half-ish final curve, and then we're just going to do one final point going straight up. You could do one in between. I just haven't seen it necessary. And then we are good. That one stitched out very well. And now we're going to work on that cutout that you see. So I'm going to turn my 3D view off so I can see the cutout through the stitches. In order to access the menu where we'll be able to select the cutout feature, we need to make sure that our shape tool is selected from the right hand menu. And once that's going to pop up, you're going to see the angle 9s, you're going to see all the points, and we're going to right click on that and hit add hole. Once that's selected, we're going to do the same thing that we do for laying down the stitch to begin with. We're going to lay down points going around our cutout section while doing the same process, making sure we're holding Command as we're going around the curves, not holding it when we're doing straight lines. What this is going to do is this is telling the program that this section that we are tracing out is not going to be stitched, and that is going to be the hole per se in our image. And we're going to finish tracing this out like we would do any other image, going through and making sure that we're connecting our first point with our last point. And you will see once we have that done, we are going to hit select, and it will show what the hole is going to look like being stitched out. Now that those lines are connected, we can clearly see that it has cut out those sections, showing that that's not going to be stitched. Up in that corner, I am going to make that point a little more defined by messing with the angles that are in that section, which is as simple as us pulling the points down, straightening them out, kind of making it match our outline of the hole to begin with, and chewing our turns. It looks like this one is being a little bit feisty. It doesn't want to go nicely, but I think we are good. I have a couple other points down here. Oh yeah, especially that one at the bottom. You see, it's like, hello. So I'm straightening these out, and I'm getting this one perfect because we are essentially just going to copy that for our next one. Once we put it back in 3D view, that looks amazing. It came out really nice, and now we are just going to copy and paste it to the other side. Since this is a mirrored image crown, I can do that very easily. But before we copy that, we're going to fix our angle lines, our pattern, stitch pattern, and get that prepped so we won't have to do that twice when we can just do it on the one and get that ready to go. So we're going to start with our middle section. And in order to start with that one, we need to make sure that that is the sequence that is selected first. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to go into our shape tool, showing us our angle lines, our points, and we're going to do our tidying up here. We're going to zoom in and make sure that all of our centers are good. We're going to change our starting and ending path. I want this to start at the center, work its way up, and then go to the right side of the crown. I'm also dropping my density down to 30. I do think that does look the best. It may be different for your machine. Make sure you do your test, you see what works better, and it also matters with the thread that you are using. If you are using a thicker gauge thread, you're going to need a thinner density. If you are doing a thinner base thread, you need a thicker density. And I'm going to see how that satin looks. I'm not sure if I like that. We're going to play around with the angles, see what looks pretty good. I think... Nah, I don't like what that's doing up in the top corner. No. So let's keep playing with that. Now we got that line going across there. Now it's moving again. So I'm just going to keep testing until I see which angle, if it looks the best. I mean, that one looks pretty good. But again, up at the top, we still have those threads that are just going a little past our points, which I'm not happy with. I don't think I like this. I don't think I'm okay with this. So I'm most likely going to be switching this. Yeah, I am definitely switching this. I don't like how that looks. Okay, let's try a different pattern. I tend to do pretty good with smooth. So we'll check it as a smooth, see if that already looks so much better. Look, no lines going out of place. Yeah, we got a tiny little one up there. That'll be an easy fix, right? Oh, look, it's gone. So yeah, but I'm not sure I like how that angle looks. So again, I'm just going to go through and play with how the angle's going and see what I like. Let me see, pulling that down. Oh, that looks pretty nice. Everything is in the curve. We don't have anything sticking out of the bottom. And yeah, we're good with smooth density at 30. And yeah, there's not really much doing. We're having it start at the bottom middle, work its way up to the top. So when it jumps over to this right section, it'll have a really small jump thread. And we're going to kind of apply the same thing. We're going to do smooth density 30 for the right side of the crown, and we're going to play with the angles, getting that to look how we want it to. And this is one of those things that you can play with over and over again until you're ready to stitch it out. You can go through and just keep moving the angles, look for anything that looks weird. Oh, that one looks pretty. I like that. Yeah, I think we're going to have it stitched that way. And I'm moving my start and ending path, where I'm going to have the start up in this top corner. Looks like I'm moving it down a little bit because I don't like how that jump thread is looking. It's a little too close to that dot for me to be 100% comfortable with. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to be perfect, but let's draw this out, see how it looks. Maybe it's not that bad. So we're going to head up to our redraw function, which is the little timer thing here. And we're just going to redraw it. We're going to see that it's going to stitch down. That looks pretty good. It's going to start doing the smooth stitch all the way up. Yeah, all the threads are stitching really nice. We don't have anything too crazy. Look in here. The main thing I'm looking for is, see, I don't like how it's doing that pinch, where it's starting in one section and then it's like pinching itself down. That can cause you some issues with your fabric bunching in those areas. And it's doing it multiple times on this side. So we might go through and change that angle again. I'm not sure how I like that. Since the angles are going to be different for the left and the right side, at this point we're just going to copy this over and do any other final adjustments once it's over there. So you're going to select that sequence, right click and go down to duplicate. Then we're going to right click and paste, either with your Command Control V option or doing your right click on your mouse and hitting paste. And so you will see we have the two complex fills at the same section. But since this is going to the other side, we got to mirror that. So we're going to flip it, and now it looks funny. So we're going to drag it over to this side, and we see that the angle isn't quite right. So we're going to sit here and turn this to get it where we need to, kind of lining up this blue line with our reference image. Sliding it down. That, hey, we got it on the first try. High five us. Woo! Okay, so now we're good to back out and see that looks pretty good. And now we're going to play with the angles and the starts and ends section of this part. We're going to click over to our shape tool like we've done for the others and move the angle lines, move our start and end section, and just make it look better and try to get rid of that pinching. Because, I don't know, that's still making me really uncomfortable. I don't think I'm going to leave it. Oh, that looks nice. That looks okay. Let's see if moving it down makes it a little bit nicer. Yeah, I think we're good. I think that's what I want. Let's see. Ooh, yes. I approve. So we're going to redraw again and see how that looks. Running through, we know that the middle section stitches out just fine. So we're going to zoom past that, zoom past this bunchy section over here, and see how this is looking. See, I slipped off the slider. See how this is looking on this side. So it looks like we're laying that down. We're starting here, going around the bend, continuing down the bottom. Now, see, this one doesn't look like it's doing any bunching. No, it looks like it's going to go straight down without having any bounce around. Oh, yay, that's perfect. Now I definitely want to fix the other side and make sure that side does the same thing. So I'm going to click into that section and I'm going to try to mess with the angle to get it to do the same where it doesn't pinch, because that will definitely cause an issue with my hat, and I don't want to do that, especially if I can try to fix the problem here. So it looks like we had the angle on the other one going from the curve down to the point. So let's see if it's going to do the same here if I move the angle going in kind of the same direction. Let's see, we're going to pull this down a little bit. I'm trying to get, it's weird, I'm trying to like mirror it, which that looks pretty good. Let's check. All right, so it's doing the same. All right, we're going around. We're going down the center. I'm still not seeing any bunching. We got this, we got this. Okay, no bunching. Perfect. And then we know that one doesn't bunch, but let's just zoom through it anyway because it looks so pretty. And try not to slide off the slider. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Okay, that is exactly how we want it. Good job. We got it going from the top section, going up. I do not like that little clip there, which I think I'm going to get rid of. So I'm going to select the whole red section and go into the commands tab, and I'm going to go where it says end command and change that to trim instead of normal. Hit apply, and look, the thread is gone. So now that is all good. So after each one of these sections, it's going to cut the thread instead of having a jump thread. And that's another section that looks great. And we're going to do the same that we did for the text. We're going to lock this section and hide it, because now we're going to work on the gold part of the crown. This section is what I'm most worried about. We are going to start on the bottom of the crown, do the dots, the cross, back to the dots. I am going to be very cautious when digitizing this part. Since my machine is very difficult to work with, I have to do fine details in a very specific way to hopefully avoid some mess ups with my machine. So on these sections of the crown, I'm actually not going to do the cutouts or the cutout up at the crown, since I know that those specific areas will cause my machine to mess up. So let's get started. I'm going to select my gold color, and we're going to use the complex fill to do the bottom of the crown and work our way like we did through the red and get started. So I moved that to the center of my screen, zoomed in really close, select my complex fill, and start laying down my points. Holding the command key, going around corners, keeping it straight while on straight lines by letting go of my command key, and just kind of like guessing what the curve of the line would look like during those sections that the cutouts are pretty evident. After doing the complex fill a few times on different designs, this becomes pretty simple, where you're just going through, sliding your screen, selecting your dot, moving along, holding your command key, and this does get simpler and simpler each time you do this. I think at the time that I am making this design, I've used this technique, I want to say 6 or 7 times on other designs that are fairly similar, and they've all turned out pretty good. While we're going through this section, I'm probably going to speed it up just so you don't watch me do the repetitive thing over and over and over again. And thanks to movie magic, what took me a minute and a half will now only take me 7 seconds. Woohoo! Here it is completed. It looks great. And then from here, we're going to move on and start digitizing out the little circle dots, which is what I'm most worried about. So let's keep our complex fill tool selected, zoom in nice and tight, and start digitizing this the same way we digitized everything else. So we're going to get that centered, zoom in, oh yeah, get me nice and close. And then we're going to go around the corners, holding the command key to get that nice curved line to make the circle look pretty good. And once we get this one digitized, we're just going to copy and paste it like we did for the red section for all of the other circles, so we don't have to redigitize every single circle. And here it is completed. That looks pretty good, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to select it. We are going to copy paste, and then we're going to grab that second circle and slide it up to the second area. Second circle, slip it on up. And we're going to repeat that process through all of the circles. I'm going to speed through that as well, so you guys don't have to see me do it for every single one. And now for this section, the reason I am so uncomfortable with its stitching is because my machine does thread jump outs all the time, and the least amount of thread cuts, the better for my machine. Now that it is complete, that is looking pretty good. We're going to go through and we're going to edit it a little bit more, making sure that our start and end points are where we want them, and we have our angles going in the correct direction as well. And we're going to do this the same way we've done for the red section and the lettering. We're going to zoom in, get nice and close, and then we're going to select our shape tool, but make sure that we are selecting the correct dot, which I do mess up a lot on this one, so don't laugh. It's a struggle. There's a lot of dots here. I'm going to select the entire yellow section and drop that down to a 30 millimeter density, and I'm also going to switch it over to the smooth stitch that we've been doing through everything else, and we're going to start working on that. I am going to start with the first little tiny circle down here, slip to my shape tool, zoom in. I don't really have to do too much work. I'm just going to slide that down, slide the angle, and the main thing that I'm looking for when I'm messing with the angles of these circles is I want to make sure that the thread lines don't look weird, because like you will see on some of these circles, the thread line, when you change the angle, it creates like this weird bunch, and it doesn't look right. It's kind of hard to explain, but you will see it. See this one, the zigzag is going great. We don't have any breaks in the line, so that one looks pretty good. On to the next one. I'm going to move our start and our end to make sure that they are pretty close. It's going to keep the angles nice, and then we're going to move our angle line, and see like right in the center, see that little bunch that was right there? That's why I'm moving it again. And then I created another bunch at the top. And you want to make sure when you're fixing that angle, you just want the zigzag line for the circle to look uniform. You don't want to have any weird breaks. Which this one, it looks like I'm struggling a bit because I keep moving it. Ooh, there we go, got it. So see how that zigzag looked nice and thin? We're not having like any breaks or any weird bunches. That's what we're looking for through all of the circles. And same thing, I am going to speed through the rest of this so you don't have to watch it in real time, me messing with every single circle. And in real time, this took me a little over 6 minutes, which was just because I was messing with every one, and then there was this one circle that it just didn't want to behave. So now that they are all done, uniform, the lines look great, we zoom out, see how it looks. I have all of the jump threads kind of going in the same direction just to make it look a little bit better. We are good to start working on the cross portion of the crown. For the cross section of this crown, I am not going to be doing the cutout sections since I know my machine. It is very hard to work with. I know if I have those cutouts, it will cause a huge problem. So we're going to zoom in and we are going to digitize this the same way we've been doing everything else. Select our complex fill tool and just go to town, going around the outside and just filling that out as normal, holding Command or Control around the curves, not holding it during the straight lines, and just doing it bit by bit. And this section went pretty quick. I think it was only like half a minute. And it came out pretty good. So we are going to make sure that's selected, change our density to 30 to match everything else, and change the stitch out to smooth, and hit apply. And that looks good. Up at the top of the cross, it looks like we're having some angle issues. So we're going to start messing around with that. We're going to fix some of our dots. I didn't get it exactly on the reference image like I would like, so we're going to move those, change our starting point, and start working with our angles. Oh, I don't know what I was doing there. I wanted to take it for a ride, apparently. So I want it to start at where the dots end on the right hand side, and I want it to end where the dots begin on the left hand side. So we should be good. Now we're going to work on the angles and try to get that to work around. That actually looks pretty good. Up at the top, we do have a line that's sticking out a little bit over on the right hand side of the cross. And then once I fix that, we have it sticking down at the bottom. The never-ending battle of making sure our angles are correct. That looks pretty good. I think that's going to be the best I'm going to be able to get it. I do have it sticking up a little bit on the left, but I don't think that's going to bug me too much. Nah, that's fine. We're going to go with that. The only other thing that we have left to do for this entire design is get the left hand dots for the crown done, which we're going to just copy and paste like we've done for the other steps. We're going to try to select all the dots, and the best way to do this is to hit your select tool and hold Command or Control, depending on what type of computer you're using, to select all of the dots going down the side. And we're going to do the same thing where we're going to copy, paste, and we're going to flip it like we've done for the red section and for the individual dots. Once we bring it over to the other side, we do have to mess with the angle to get it kind of close to what we need, but these dots are a little off, so I'm going to have to play with it a few times. It looks like I'm going to turn this a little bit more, slide it down. It looks like it needs to go a tiny bit more, come down, look pretty, line that up, and that looks pretty good. I think that looks nice. Now we're going to have to go through and readjust the angles and the start and end line for each. I'm again going to fast forward through those so you don't have to watch all that again. And as I'm going through this section, it's going to be a little more difficult because I have to move each dot since it's stitching it out in the same order as it was on the right, where we have to kind of flip it for the left. So this in total took me a little over 8 minutes. But once it is complete, that's it. We are done. That was the final dot that has to get organized and slid kind of into place. It was a little off, and here's what it looks like. With everything turned back on and zooming out, that looks really good. I'm very impressed with how that turned out. Everything looks like it's going to stitch out very nicely. I do think that was a little bit easier than I thought it was going to. We are just going to go through, and I'm going to make this crown a little bit bigger, and I'm going to kind of lay it out on a different way on top of the K. I don't like how it looks at the moment. So I'm just going to mess around with that, turn the angle a bit, make sure it's kind of going from the tip of the K to the other tip of the K. Yeah, I think that looks good. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is where it overlaps the K on the far right side of it. We're going to see how that's going to stitch out. See if I can do anything about that. I don't know how to cut that section out, so if anybody knows how, please let me know. That would be very good information to know. I'm still not liking the size. I'm going to mess with it a little bit more. There's not really too much I can do because I am working in a hat hoop, so I got to make sure that I don't go too crazy with this. I really hope that this silver, like gold part of the crown, sorry, not silver, gold part of the crown doesn't like smush the foam, because we're going to attempt that. But I think this is what we're going to go with. Let's do a redraw, see how it's going to stitch out, see if that's going to go the way I want. I'm actually going to turn off this reference image. We no longer need that, and now it's a little bit easier to see. So let's do the redraw. We're going to start from the I, which is the center, go to the K, jump over to the N and the G, go and center out, do the foam part, slide off the slider as usual, go back on it, start at the center of the crown and work my way out. But I did notice I don't like how that is kind of going around, and it's starting at the top where I want it to kind of start in the center. So I'm going to go back in there and mess with that a little bit more. Oh, I wonder how that's going to mess up my angle. Guess we gonna find out. So I'm going to want it to start at the bottom center and push out again, because our main focus when doing caps is center out. So let's see what that just did, changing my angle. All right, I got that, and I have the bouncing around again. But by that point, nah, I'm definitely going to have to work with that. I can't just leave that the way it is. Let's see. How did that do? We're going around, zoom back. We got a little bit of a place that it might bunch, but I think we're going to send it because everything else looks really good. The dots are stitching out good. The cross is doing pretty well. Yeah, I think this is what we're going to go with. We're going to see if that's going to cause us any problems. I don't think it's going to, though. I'm going to adjust my color really quick just so I can have the inside of the crown and the king different colors in case in the future I ever need to have it a different color other than red, or same for the text. So I want to make sure that they're just separated so my machine knows. Final redraw, again, center out on the lettering, center out on the foam. Yep, that looks good. Keep sliding off the slider. Lettering looks good. The crown, we're doing center out on everything. And then bottom crown. Yeah, that looks great. And the final thing we have to do is double check and make sure that our size is correct and it is center on our workspace, which of course it's not. So we're going to change both of these positions, X and Y, to 0, and we're going to double check our size. I want this to be 2.5 inches tall, and I'm going to leave that the way it is. Yeah, I think we're good. So we're going to hit apply, and that design is done. I'm going to save it as an RED file first, since that is the file that Chroma allows you to go back in and edit the files in if you need to. And I'm just going to change my name. Going to do Crowned King. Save that, and then I'm going to save it a second time to put it on my USB, which is going to be saved as a DST file, since that is the file that my embroidery machine reads. Once the file is saved there, the final thing that we need to do is print out or look to reference our stitch out sheet. Getting your stitch out sheet, it is really simple. We have our design ready to go, so we're going to go up into the top right hand corner to where it shows the little print icon. And the first page is just going to show you what your design looks like. It looks really pretty. You can see how it looks, and then you're going to click over to the arrow, which will bring you to your next page, which will show you the stitch out and the thread colors that you're going to need. From here, you can print it out, or you can just reference back. I'm going to print. Once you print this out, we are good to head over to the machine. Okay, now that we have our design loaded into our machine, we have our printout showing us our stitches. Wabam. I have my bee hoop loaded in with 3 layers of cutaway stabilizer. I like to just do that as my test. Since this is the first time I am digitizing this design and running it through, I don't want to do it directly on my project in case the digitizing is incorrect or this machine likes to be very picky and doesn't like to work all the time. So I want to make sure that I can stitch it out correctly first before I even attempt it on my project. So now that we have the hoop in, it's loaded up on the machine, we have our cutout. I also have a section of foam, embroidery foam, that we're going to attempt. I've never been successful with embroidery foam, but let's get experimental. Let's just try it. Worst that can happen is it don't work and then I just don't use the foam. So let's see. First thing we're going to do is program our colors into the machine using our stitch out as our reference. So we're going to start with the bottom of the lettering, which we're going to do blue. So I'm going to go into my lettering, and for me, my blue is on needle 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, that's not how math goes. 10, 9, 8. Yeah, so it's on 8. Sorry, I can't count today. So we're going to go 8. Then we're going to go to the red lettering, which I have on needle 4. Oh, I have these color-coded. I didn't even need to count. I went through and color-coded them. Then we're going to go continue to do red. So I'm going to leave that there. And then we have gold, which I believe is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's on 6. So we have all that. I'm going to keep it going automatic and automatic just because this is running a test through. Actually, no, I'm not. I lied. We're going to put this on automatic manual because we have to insert the foam when we do the lettering. Haha, that would have stunk. So now that that's good, we're going to hit OK. We have it loaded up. I'm just going to trace and make sure that we are not going to hit anything. Which we are good to go. So let's run this through. Gonna hit. Okay, so it is complete. There's definitely some adjustments I have to make to that one part of the design. So like that came out pretty good. Right here is the only issue I'm seeing, but I'm shocked it made through this without messing up. That's a miracle. Overall, I would definitely rate this as a, I want to say 95% success rate. That is crazy. I'm going to try stitching this out on a baseball cap and see how that goes. So we're going to load that up next and run that. All right, so I have my baseball cap loaded up. I have 3 layers, not labels, 3 layers of cutaway stabilizer. Got it on there nice and smoothies. I have it centered. We're going to trace the design now and see how it's going to lay out. push it down, and go. That's pretty good. That's the lowest I can have it stitch out on my machine, so we're gonna send it and see how it does. Okay, it is all set. Let's pop that out and take a look. That looks like it came out really good, besides this area here, which I gotta figure out how to get rid of that. If anyone knows a way to kind of smush that down some more, let's do that. We do have some foam sticking out, so I'm gonna take a lighter. Fire warning, about to be a lighter. We're gonna take a lighter and we're gonna kind of like melt that, which kind of like zwoops it in. So we're gonna go like that. Zwoopy, zwoopy. Zwoopy, zwoopy. And it kind of just sucks the foam in. There we go. Yep, see, that looks much better. You can still see it a little bit. That might have been around one of the times that my lovely machine here decided it wanted to misbehave. But overall, this design came out really good. I love how the stitching works. I'm very surprised that during this section, my machine doesn't misbehave. It doesn't like small, fine details. So the fact that it behaved on that one, I'll take it. That's a little pride for myself. So yeah, I think this came out good. All right, so overview on the design. We went through and digitized this on my Chroma I have Chroma Luxe. My Chroma Luxe program. We used puff embroidery, which is the first time I've been able to do that pretty successfully. Yay me. Went through and also digitized a image. That was fairly simple, I'm surprised, and my machine actually was able to stitch out these tight little designs, which usually it likes to malfunction and not work with those. So overall, I would say that this is about a 95 to 98% success rate. And if I were to do this on a beanie, I would have to digitize a knockdown stitch behind it as well. And I'm probably gonna have to do that. My customer likes to have it both on caps and beanies, so that's something that I'm probably gonna have to do with this design as well. If you guys have any questions on this design or anything that you would like to see with either Chroma or my Ricoma machine, as well as any sewing or any other questions, and if you have tips on how to get this to go flat, please let me know. I am still pretty new and I'm kind of taking you guys along the journey of me learning and figuring things out. So thank you guys again for popping in to watch, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!